Imagine this. You take your entire life savings, just $5,000, and put it all on the line for one single idea. No investors, no powerful connections, no business degree, just belief. Would you risk it all? Sara Blakely did, and that decision transformed her into the youngest self-made female billionaire in history. Sara wasn't born into wealth. There was no family empire waiting for her. No network of high-powered business mentors guiding her path. She grew up in Clearwater, Florida, raised by a single dad who encouraged his kids to embrace failure as a way of growing stronger. And like so many of us, she struggled to find her path. She tried law school. She failed. She auditioned for Disney. She was rejected. She worked odd jobs searching for purpose until she found herself selling fax machines door to door. Day after day, she knocked on office doors. Most slammed shut before she even finished her pitch. She faced rejection after rejection. But Sara, like so many of us, struggled to find her place in the world. At first, she thought she might become a lawyer, following in her father's footsteps. She prepared for the LSAT exam and failed. Not once, but twice. Law school was no longer an option, so Sara did what many young adults do. She worked whatever jobs she could find. She even took a role as a ride greeter at Epcot. Eventually, she landed in sales, selling fax machines door to door. It was not glamorous. Every day, she put on pantyhose in the sweltering Florida heat, walked into offices, and tried to pitch products that most people didn't want. Day after day, the answer was no. Doors slammed in her face before she could even finish her opening line. She faced humiliation, rejection, and exhaustion. But inside, she carried something powerful, a vision. She was tired of the uncomfortable clothing women were expected to wear. She believed there had to be a better way. And then, one night, as she was getting ready for a party, Sara had a moment of frustration and creativity that would change everything. She grabbed a pair of white pants, realized nothing she owned looked right under them, and impulsively cut the feet off her pantyhose. That tiny act of frustration sparked a billion-dollar idea. Before Sara faced the rejections and slammed doors, she had something many overlooks, a mindset shaped by failure. At her family's dinner table, her father never asked, "What did you succeed at today?" Instead, he asked, "What did you fail at?" And when Sara shared her failures, he celebrated them. That lesson planted resilience deep within her. She grew comfortable with falling short because she saw failure not as the end, but as proof she was trying. This small but powerful shift became her armor. It gave her the courage to take risks others were too afraid to take, and the confidence to keep moving forward when everything seemed impossible. Of course, having an idea is just the beginning. The real challenge is turning that idea into reality. And for Sara, this meant facing rejection on a whole new level. Sara began calling manufacturers, dozens of them. She began cold calling manufacturers, describing her vision of footless, body-shaping hosiery. One by one, they dismissed her. "It will never work. The market is too small. Women don't need this." Almost every single call ended with a no. She explained her vision, her product, and her plan. Almost every single one laughed at her. Investors ignored her. Industry experts dismissed her. Fashion insiders laughed. And remember, this was the late 1990s, a time when the business world was overwhelmingly male-dominated, and women entrepreneurs had to fight twice as hard for half the recognition. But Sara refused to quit. She kept calling, kept pitching, kept believing. Finally, after dozens of rejections, one factory owner in North Carolina said yes. And why? Not because he was convinced at first, but because his daughters overheard Sara's pitch and begged him to give her a chance. That one reluctant yes set everything in motion. Still, Sara faced another battle, getting her product into stores. She managed to secure a meeting with Neiman Marcus, one of the most prestigious department stores in America. When she realized the executives weren't fully convinced, she made a bold, almost desperate move. She dragged a female buyer into the restroom, put on her prototype Spanx under her clothes, and showed the instant transformation. The results spoke for themselves. Sara walked out with her first major order. From there, the dominoes began to fall. Spanx products hit the shelves, and women responded instantly. The comfort, the confidence, the fit. It was unlike anything they had experienced before. Then came the moment that every entrepreneur dreams of. Oprah Winfrey discovered Spanx and declared it one of her favorite things. That single endorsement sent sales through the roof and catapulted Sara Blakely into the national spotlight. From selling fax machines door to door, Sara Blakely built a billion-dollar empire that redefined women's fashion and reshaped an entire industry. And in a bold, almost desperate move, Sara dragged an executive into the restroom to personally demonstrate her product. Within minutes, she had her first major order. From there, Spanx exploded. Oprah called it one of her favorite products. Celebrities endorsed it. Sales skyrocketed. And Sara, she went from selling fax machines to building a billion-dollar empire that redefined an entire industry. Spanx didn't just become a product, it became a movement. Women of all ages, backgrounds, and body types embraced it. The brand spoke to empowerment, confidence, and innovation. And the genius of Sara Blakely was not just in the product itself, but in her approach. She wrote her own patent. She designed her own packaging. She used her own face as the model. She hustled tirelessly to get Spanx noticed. Unlike many entrepreneurs who relied on big investors, Sara retained 100% ownership of her company. That decision alone made her the youngest self-made female billionaire in history when Spanx exploded globally. But her story doesn't stop at business success. Sara became a philanthropist, pledging to donate half of her wealth to charity through the Giving Pledge. She launched the Sara Blakely Foundation to support women's education and entrepreneurship around the world. She proved that business can be both profitable and purposeful. Sara Blakely's story proves something powerful. You don't need to be born rich to create wealth. You don't need approval to get started. You don't even need formal experience. What you do need is vision, persistence, creativity, and the courage to keep moving forward when the world says no. Her life reminds us that the world doesn't reward ideas. It rewards people who act on them. An idea without action is just a dream. But an idea combined with relentless belief can change everything. So ask yourself, what's the idea sitting quietly inside you right now? The one you keep pushing aside because you don't have the money, the connections, or the degree? Sara started with scissors and pantyhose. She started with nothing more than frustration, imagination, and a willingness to take a risk. And that risk turned into a global empire. Your billion-dollar idea might already be within you. It may not be a product. It may be a service, a solution, a vision. But whatever it is, the world will never see it unless you step forward. Like Sara, you have the power to rewrite your story, to take rejection and turn it into redirection, to take small beginnings and turn them into extraordinary outcomes. So remember this: your wealth, your prosperity, your abundance, it is waiting, not in some distant future, but in the decisions you make today. All it takes is one step, one call, one bold move. And the moment you decide to believe, truly believe, is the moment your empire begins.